All right, let's start with the basics. Space colonization is the idea of humans living somewhere other than Earth. Imagine building cities, houses, and maybe even donut shops on the moon or Mars. It's kind of like moving to another country, except you'll need a spacesuit and, well, a slightly more complicated travel plan. Think of it as humanity's very ambitious move to the suburbs, except, the suburbs are millions of miles away. Folks want to go, live, and work in space for a long time. Space colonization means having real, permanent homes off our planet, not just visiting for a quick photo and a moonwalk. So why do we want to do this? For adventure, survival, and because honestly, Earth's rent is getting a bit high. Plus, spreading out across the solar system just seems like the next logical step for a curious species like us. So, in short, space colonization is about packing our bags, grabbing our favorite snacks, and setting up shop somewhere with a lot more stars and a lot less gravity. The idea of living in space isn't as new as your smartphone, or even as new as your parents' favorite disco songs. Way back in the early 20th century, visionaries like Konstantin Tsiolkovsky dreamed up the first rocket ships and space habitats. He thought of gigantic space stations with rotating rings, basically cosmic hamster wheels for humans. Writers like H.G. Wells and Jules Verne also imagined humans hopping from planet to planet. These creative minds helped spark the idea that space could be more than just a twinkling night sky. Science fiction, it turns out, has been the best travel agent for outer space. By the 1950s, scientists began to get serious. Wernher von Braun, a rocket engineer, drew up wild blueprints for spinning space hotels and even Mars missions. Newspapers and magazines were filled with promises that we'd soon be sipping cosmic coffee on the moon. Of course, reality was a bit slower. Rockets exploded, budgets shrank, and the closest most folks got to space was watching Star Trek reruns. But the dream of colonizing space never faded. It just needed a little more rocket fuel. If you're moving to a new neighborhood, it sure helps if it's close by. The moon is just next door, about 384,000 kilometers away, give or take a few lunar craters. That's why it became humanity's first target for space colonization. In 1969, the Apollo 11 mission landed 2 humans on the moon. Neil Armstrong took a giant leap for mankind, and Buzz Aldrin bounced around in low gravity. For a few glorious years, astronauts landed, explored, and even played a little golf on the lunar surface. Talk about an out-of-this-world vacation. These moon missions taught us a lot. We learned that the moon is dusty, has no air, and is surprisingly hard to walk on. But we also learned that visiting our cosmic neighbor isn't impossible. It's just really, really hard, and you'll need a good helmet. Lately, there's been a surge of interest in returning to the moon. Countries and companies want to build moon bases, mine lunar resources, and maybe even open a cafe with the best view in the solar system. Landing on the moon was cool. Living there? Well, that's another challenge. NASA, the European Space Agency, and China all have big plans for moon bases. They want to build habitats where astronauts can work, sleep, and, most importantly, avoid space sunburns. NASA's Artemis program is leading the charge. Artemis aims to land the first woman and next man on the moon's surface, then set up a permanent base. The European Space Agency is teaming up, adding European flair and maybe better coffee. China, meanwhile, is racing to plant its flag and build high-tech lunar labs. These moon bases won't be just tents and sleeping bags. We're talking about 3D-printed buildings made from lunar soil, solar panels to generate power, and greenhouses to keep astronauts fed and happy. There may even be robots zipping around, tidying up moon dust and fetching groceries. Of course, it's not all moon parties and stargazing. The moon's surface is harsh, with wild temperature swings and lots of radiation. But if anyone can handle it, it's a group of determined scientists with a love of adventure and a good supply of duct tape. You might be wondering, why not build a moon base anywhere? Good question. The answer is simple. The moon's north and south poles are the hottest real estate in the solar system. Well, figuratively speaking, since they're actually quite chilly. Why the poles? For starters, some parts of the lunar poles are in almost constant sunlight. That means lots of solar power, which is pretty handy when you don't want your moon base to turn into a cosmic igloo. It's kind of like living in a house that gets sunlight all year. No need for giant batteries or a backup generator. Even better, the poles have something precious: water ice. In the shadowy craters where the sun never shines, scientists have found frozen water. This ice can be turned into drinking water, oxygen, or even rocket fuel. Suddenly, the moon seems a lot more livable, don't you think? So, if you're buying lunar property, head to the poles. They're cool, they're sunny, and they come with built-in water features. Just remember to bring a warm jacket. Getting to and from the moon isn't as simple as calling a cab. Rockets work, but they're expensive, noisy, and, well, prone to explosions, which doesn't make for a relaxing commute. Enter the lunar space elevator, an idea straight out of science fiction. Imagine a cable stretching from the moon's surface up to lunar orbit, with an elevator car zipping up and down. This cosmic lift would make moving people, supplies, and moon rocks much cheaper and safer. No more bumpy rocket rides, just smooth sailing all the way up. Why is a lunar elevator possible? The moon's gravity is much weaker than Earth's, so the cable doesn't have to be super strong. Scientists are even thinking of making it from special materials like carbon nanotubes. It's still early days, but the idea is catching on. One day, astronauts might finish breakfast, hop in the elevator, and head straight to lunar orbit. Easy, clean, and, best of all, no traffic jams. Space isn't just for sightseeing, it's also full of treasure. Asteroids, those rocky leftovers from the solar system's birth, are packed with valuable metals like platinum, gold, and nickel. Mining them could make trillionaires out of today's space pioneers. But there's a twist. Asteroid mining could also help save Earth. Many of our gadgets require rare metals, and digging them up on Earth causes pollution and environmental damage. By getting these resources from asteroids instead, we could reduce waste, lower carbon emissions, and give our planet a much-needed break. Mining in space sounds wild, but companies and space agencies are already working on it. They're sending robotic prospectors to sniff out the best rocks and dreaming up ways to haul the loot back home. Who knows? One day your next smartphone could be made from 100% recycled asteroid. Asteroid mining might sound like science fiction, but it could become the next gold rush. One that's good for both your wallet and the planet. Mars, the planet that launched 1,000 science fiction novels. Colonizing Mars is the ultimate adventure, and space agencies and billionaire dreamers alike are racing to be first. But living on Mars won't be easy. It's cold, dry, and has an atmosphere thinner than your last cup of decaf. Mars colonists would need high-tech habitats, greenhouses for food, and plenty of warm blankets. But wait, there's more. Some scientists want to go full planet makeover and terraform Mars. That means changing its climate, atmosphere, and even its magnetic field so it feels more like home. How would we do it? Maybe by releasing greenhouse gases to warm the planet, or by smashing comets into Mars to add water. Some bold thinkers even suggest building giant magnetic shields in space to protect Mars from solar radiation. Hey, if you're going to dream big, you might as well go all the way. In the distant future, Mars could have blue skies, flowing rivers, and Martian parks with picnic tables. Until then, we'll settle for exploring, experimenting, and trying not to get too much red dust in our space boots. Why bother with all this space colonization stuff anyway? The answer is simple: survival, curiosity, and maybe a bit of cosmic wanderlust. Spreading out across the solar system means we're less vulnerable to disasters on Earth. Whether it's an asteroid strike, a supervolcano, or someone microwaving fish in the office kitchen, becoming an interplanetary species would also unleash our creativity and teamwork. It takes a lot of people, from rocket scientists to sandwich makers, to build new worlds. And let's face it, humanity has never turned down a challenge, especially if it comes with cool gadgets and new holiday destinations. Imagine a future where families can vacation on the moon, scientists study alien life on Europa, and Mars has its own reality TV shows. Space colonization isn't just about surviving, It's about thriving, growing, and seeing what's possible when we reach for the stars. So ready to pack your bags? The universe is waiting, and humanity's next giant leap is just getting started.